They say I'm crazy, the way you got me open, baby. They say I'm bugging, the way I'm time sweating your loving.
Okay, be quiet. Okay, she's quiet now. I am actually just quickly live because I got one little small issue. I'm just gonna alert the crew that I'm actually live, which normally I don't do. Let me see if I can find a way to do that. Okay, good. So I'm going to take and I'm just going to share this to the group. And I'm going to select that. I will go into my, whoever doesn't know about Ecamm, that's what I use. I use Ecamm Live. And I'm just going to go into my Let's Get Live crew, which is ran by Mr. Doc Rock. He's an awesome guy. I'm just going to pop this and hit a paste. And I'm going to hit post. And then I'll see if somebody joins me over here. Because I am enjoying my A7C, and well, not A7C, I have an A7C, but I'm enjoying my Sony A7 IV. Okay, I'm new to the big cameras, right? I was shooting APS-C, and now I'm in the full frame. I got an A7C for it, but now I actually have that newest camera that everybody likes from Sony. Thing is, I go to Smallrig or Ulanzi, and I went to Smallrig to get a half bracket for the camera. The issue is that it actually has a small flaw with it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I'm just going to show what the flaw is for me, because getting into photography, I realize what you normally do is you end up having, you know, your camera and you shoot sideways. And then if you have like a photo setup, you set it on a stand and stuff. So on here, I have a stand, and I'm going to take this jib out of the floaty mode, and we're just going to put it right on here. Now, Kevin, what's going on, man? So here is one of the issues that I just discovered. So on my A7C, I have the full cage. On most of my cameras, I have like the, you know, the full body cage with everything around it. And so, for instance, here we go. For those of you who watch this later, on the page here, of course, you see there is the full cage. Now, because I have an A7C, I'm pretty much like, I'm going to use that with the full cage and put all the shabazz on there and all of the stuff. Now, with this guy, I actually just went for the L bracket because I'm holding it in my hand all the time. I don't need to hook up the microphone and all of that because I use my other full frame camera for the video shoot and everything. So here is what I found with the flaw. So now for purposes of YouTube, I'm just going to show, and I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm actually going to show you how they advertise this and the problem that I found with it. Okay, so yeah, are we really taking that long? Okay, so if you look down here, here's a couple of things. You see, of course, the camera, then, you know, the next picture is going to show you, you know, the bracket itself, right? But here's what they don't actually point out on there. If you look at these different, you know, pictures, you see them. Okay, you got that. So the door opens on the bottom, the battery, that is fine. You move that little knob over here, you move that little latch, and you have to move that to get the battery out. Got it. I can work with that. You got all the good Smallrig stuff on there like normal. Got it. Here's the piece to move the L bracket out. As you can see on this next piece, you can move this guy out. It says 24 millimeters, right? The crazy thing is the doors on the side, you can really only access them all if you move this out. So if you're if you leave this on there and you actually, Elaine, what's going on, sis? If you have to take and open these on the side, which has a couple of things over there. There's the headphone jack, the HDMI jack. Check it out over here. So you have, let me just turn this, and it's small down here in the bottom corner. Over here, you have a couple of things you want to access. You have the HDMI door. You have the door for the headphone jack. You have the door for the USB and all of that over here. The thing is, in order to open these doors, look at this next picture, and they actually show you this. You need to take an Allen wrench, and you have to slide that thing. You have to slide this part, a smidgen this way or that way. The issue is, if you slide it one way, then you can open up the HDMI door. But then you can't open up the door for the headphone jack, nor can you open up the other door for the USB. That's kind of weird. So it would just seem like they would take this guy and make that a little bit bigger. Hear me out. It seems like they would just take this and make this a little bit wider so that you can open all of the doors, whether the L bracket piece is fixed right up on it or off. So check it out once again. Let me make sure I hit the right button. So check this out here. You have that Allen wrench, and notice closely here how it shows you can slide this L bracket piece. That's kind of weird. And that's mainly for the purpose of putting the camera this way and that way. Now notice how they advertise it. It's flush against the camera here when you turn it sideways. Got it. You would have to raise this in order to have something plugged in. Got it. But if you have it like this and you take it off and you want to access the door on the side, the thing is you can't pull that door open depending on which way you have this shifted. You eliminate opening one side or the other. So Mr. Camera Junkie, this is kind of weird, but I just found this out. And I just took the time to go live to look at this flaw. In my opinion, I just think it's a flaw. Okay, so now let me see. Kevin, what do we have here? You got a good question here. Would you be better of getting a vertical grip for that camera? Maybe so. Okay, I'm not an expert with these, cameras and stuff and whatnot, but I will show you this. I'm going to take this off real quick, and I'll show you from this shot here what's weird about this. Let me go in. Okay, so for me, I'm like, this is the first camera that I have that I'm just going to be doing mostly photos. Again, the A7C is going to be my baby for, since it's a full frame and I can interchangeably use the battery and stuff like that. I got the cage for the full cage for the A7C. So for this, I'm like, I'm going to just kind of leave it plain and not put a full cage on this because I don't need to rig this whole thing up. I'm just going to put two big lenses that I have on here and shoot. But here is the thing that gets me. This is the strangest thing. So you have to loosen this guy up, right? And you have to shift this guy in order to open the doors. So for right now, I'll show you. If you shift it this way, you have to shift it this way in order to get the HDMI door open. Let me move the microphone a little bit out of the way and show you. So here's your HDMI door, right? But in order to open that door, it has to be shifted over this way. There's no middle ground for this. So if I close all of the doors, right? So if you have this L bracket piece, now think about this. The functionality of it would simply be this. You're shooting, right? Boom. You turn it sideways. If you put it onto the tripod, you're like shooting this way, Arca-Swiss on the bottom, definitely, and then you take it and you just turn it this way and you do that. Now, if you want to quickly get in here to plug it up to the computer or something, if this is shifted forward, you can get the HDMI open. If it's shifted this way, so you can put headphones or your USB or something, you cannot open this door right here. So that's kind of, okay, let's get a little focus here. Come on. Okay, so that's the problem here. You notice this, it doesn't actually squarely fit to do this. Thank you, Lewis. I think Lewis has the answer. So your suggestion would be it has to do with the flip out screen. Got it. Okay. Now, but see, Lewis, it's still, it still maneuvers, and they still do have a little bit of room in here. If you look in here, if you can't see that, I'll just throw you a little bit of light. That's kind of good, Lou. Okay. Notice there is a little bit of a gap in here to, I have an Allen wrench in my mouth, sorry. But there is a little bit of gap in here where they could have still extended this, and it really just seems like an off measurement, because if they played it this way, okay, if you have it here and they just played it this way a little bit more, it would just be enough that you could still access the doors. So you literally have to carry the Allen wrench with you. Just say that you're out, right? Let's just say that you're out, and I'm gonna get to the comments. Let's say that you're out, right? And you're like, okay, you doing all this stuff with your camera. You're like, okay, I want to plug it up and plug a little charge into it, right? Well, if you do, because you do have attachments on here where you can put an extra battery hookup to it. But if you were to do it, you literally would have to, you actually have to put this plate back. Look here. You have to slide this plate back here in order to access the door right here and get that open. Now, if I have to go to HDMI and I want to plug it up to the computer or something like that, I have to shift it this way in order to pop this guy open. Now, if I shift it back this way, watch this. This can't close all the way, and this is tight. Weird, right? It's kind of like, why not just make this a little bit wider? And Lewis has a great point, but here's the thing. There's a gap in here for the screen. I get it, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that, so I can show it, it still doesn't excuse the fact that they just could have made it wider in here so that the doors could have opened. I think what they're missing is open the doors and put the L bracket around it, and maybe for stability purposes, but they would probably have to shave a little bit in the inside because the Arca-Swiss has to fit a certain way on the outside. So here's the deal. If from an engineering standpoint of view, it had to be done that way, how about let us know that the doors won't be fully accessible? Now, again, I think I looked, oops, wrong one. I think I looked on the website, right? Just looking on the website, I don't see, wait a minute, why aren't you going to this other thing? Okay. All right. It doesn't want to find my other one. Okay. But looking on the website, it doesn't show me or say that the doors will be inaccessible. So that's the thing that I'm just kind of like just thrown off about. So I'm just going to look a little bit more on the website. Everything else is like perfect. It says extendable side plate, leaving enough room for cables while vertical shooting. Got that. But what it does not tell you is, okay, key features, embedded, blah, 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 blah. The thing is, it just doesn't say anywhere that you won't be able to access the doors unless you slide it. It shows you the ability to slide this and offset it, but it doesn't tell you that. And that was the first thing I noticed, because I just got this sitting on here. So you want to make sure everything's fitting tight. So if I take my Allen wrench and I tighten these right here, I'm like, okay, I got this on here tightened so it doesn't shift. Now let's look at under the bottom. If under the bottom, we're sitting here and we say, okay, the L bracket, we want to put this in because right now I'm just turning, the camera on the tripod. Again, if I'm on the tripod, I have them here. I might be shooting, right? And then either I can turn the tripod this way, which most people would like to do, but the advantage of the L bracket is to just be able to turn it this way. Arca-Swiss right here, and you got the camera stable that way. Got it. Here's the thing. I take the camera off, I do this, and I get ready to open the door. Depending on which way I got to orient, look, I can't get the HDMI door open because I actually have to take the Allen wrench, shift this whole bracket forward to open the door. That is absurd. It makes no sense to me. Then this way, I can't, actually just pop that straight open. So you literally have to force this here to get the door open. And if you have this shifted, that's the only way to do it. So that's just my little take on it. I don't think it's a big thing, but it's just weird to me. So if you pull it away from the camera, do both sets of doors open. So here's the thing, Kevin, good question. So if I were to take this and just loosen this screw right here, pop this open, right? If I were to take and move it away, it says 24 millimeters, of course you can open everything, okay? Because you got that space in here. Yes, you can open it here. So it's almost like it's suggested that you raise it, and of course there's room this way. So, but see, notice how it has to push this. You understand what I'm saying? For this to be open, not a big problem, but if you go to open this, now here's the thing, HDMI, you go to plug in the HDMI cord, you probably want to open this as much as you can. Now there's a space in here with the HDMI, so if you slap a cord in there, this doesn't have to be fully open, but it'll rub against this right here if you don't already have it set. So if I were to set this to say, okay, when I open this and just twist this, move this off, I'm just going to, probably maybe plug in a HDMI here, and plug in okay, so here's the problem, USB. The cord, you won't be able to get this plug, the multi-plug, straight in there unless you move this way. Okay, let me move my hat out the way. So see how you have to do this? You have to move this way in order to get this guy, all right? It's still not clean like that either. Nah, it's not. So, you have to play it one way or the other. So depending on which way you do this, you have to pick and choose. Am I trying to open an HDMI door, or am I going to open up, now this C fits fine because the only thing would be in the space is the screen. So, and now here's the thing, to Lewis's point, when you open the screen, you have to actually have this. So there's a lot of factors in here that would suggest that the way you shoot with the camera is going to determine what actually matters or not. So, most of the time, if you got it on the L, you're not facing the screen that way. So you're doing it this way, and pretty much you can leave the screen against the camera if you're doing the L on the stand. So if you're on the stand and you're on the L, screen is back here, so it's not open this way. They put a gap in here so that when you open the screen and you have this, let me loosen this and put the bracket back in. So bracket's back in, right? So the bracket's in, they have it set. So when you pop that screen open, you have that. But in order for the screen to come fully around, Lewis, it's not necessarily for the screen that much because, again, now this is where it gets tricky, Lou. It's not necessarily for the screen because the gap in here is not really just for the screen. I think it's to give room, to lay the cords down or something. But the screen doesn't have to come around through here. That's the weird thing. And when you have it on Arca-Swiss, you can't have the screen open anyway. So when you have it mounted, the screen can't be open down here. So the screen is not really the issue over here. And I don't really know if the gap is for the screen itself, because when you open the screen, it's not flowing through there. Okay. So it's not possible to do both vertical and have the screen flipped out. Exactly. And so, Kevin, I think if your goal is vertical and a vertical grip would give you more reliable connections while still mounted vertically. Yeah. I take your point. Again, I'm not the photography guy. I take your point. Oh, confession. My dumb behind was looking around for an Allen wrench. They do supply you with the Allen wrench right here. That's typical Smallrig. You just pull it out. So I'm not going to get flaw is correct. Hey, Michael, thank you. Again, I'm amateur. So I'm not, and I don't say that to belittle myself. I'm just like, I haven't been doing photography, like that. I'll do video. I'm a music guy. But I'm just pointing out something. I call myself a no pro, KNOW, no pro. It doesn't mean I know this stuff deep. It's just, at the beginning, my dumb behind is sitting there. I'm like, I go to get the battery out and I'm like, you can't open the door. Well, you have to push this little, you open this little thing here to open the door. Okay. So it's right on their website. So in order to open the door for the battery, you have this little thing. It looks great. The cage itself is wonderful, and it's a nice low profile, and it does give you the option of taking that camera and throwing it on its side there for vertical shooting. And it's actually awesome. It's just my only flaw problem with it is the doors on here. It's like when you go to use it, when you're kind of done just doing this and doing this, if you have to open these doors over here, that's where the issue comes in at. Because then you have to take the Allen wrench off and you have to reorient this to select which doors you open it. That just makes no sense to me. So that's my take on it. Oh, wait, I hit next scene. Sorry. That's just my particular take on it. My non-professional approach to it, to say maybe I'm missing something, from all you experts. Kevin, I totally agree with you. As far as, if it was real deep and I'm really into a lot of vertical shooting, for more convenience, but this is not inconvenient. The vertical shooting is easy. The gap space on there, I get it. If I got it hooked up to a computer, you put that 24 millimeter gap in there. So you got the spacing on there. When you have the spacing, you can open the doors. But if you were to do this and you wanted to hook up that HDMI, when you open this, it depending on if this is shifted forward or back, right here, okay, depending on if this is shifted forward or back, you won't be able to get that door open. It's because the width of this in here needs to be a smidgen wider. That's just my simple point. I would be curious to see what Ulanzi done with that, to see if their L bracket version actually addresses that. So Smallrig make good cheap products and they use some universal parts at times for cost, and it's not always to fit each individual camera. Wise person you are, because I start to feel that way. They do have some generically like, okay, if Sony didn't change too much on their new camera, it's kind of like they make things to fit the other one and they just slap the label on it and call it the other one. And then in small print, they'll say, well, it fits the other camera too. Kind of weird. Like some Sony cameras, maybe like the A63 and the A65, you probably can use the same cage or something like that. It's something weird like that they do. I like Smallrig products. I think they're great. I use them a lot. I can't really say I like Ulanzi over Smallrig. However, this is the first, what I believe is a flaw. Now, they do have the room in here. If you keep the little lip on here, they have that. But again, you kind of have to leave this loose, because if you don't leave this, you don't leave it loose, but you're going to be loosening it and moving it depending on what you're going to do with the doors. And it's just me. I just found out that I'm like, I'm going to use the doors. And so, here I am. I'm just sitting there like, okay, if I want to throw a USB charge in there, even though it's like the big battery, got you, the FW100, whatever, big battery. But if I'm running low and I'm like, yeah, I just want to throw some juice on there. If I got the bracket shifted to open up the HDMI, then I'm kind of like, oh, I got to take the Allen wrench out, unscrew these and slide it this way so that I can pop the door open. That makes absolutely no sense to me. So this right here, and Lewis, you're absolutely right. So this Arca-Swiss is a specific size on the outside. I just don't know if they could have cheated it a little bit on the inside or something. But see the groove on the Arca-Swiss. So here's where we get down to it. The little groove on the Arca-Swiss that's in there is kind of hard to see in there. But that little groove there, that indentation, that is meeting the inside perimeters of this. So they probably can't do it. That would be the reason why they made it where you can move it like this. So, Blue's Clue. Forget Clifford. Blue's Clue. That would be the reason why they allow you to adjust it this way and that way. They just don't tell you that. That's my problem. Just say, we allow it to do this because you're not going to be able to open the doors. So between Sony, now, Michael, you make a good point. Sony is the master at that. So it looks like you would get HDMI or USB, not both. You're right, Kevin. So now what I think it is that they had to do what they could do best based off of how Sony made everything. Okay, that would make absolute sense. So Smallrig is actually the master at rigging it to work in some kind of way based on what they have to build around. So to me, that would be more so of a Sony thing, but not a fault. It's just, it is what it is. Okay, engineers who have no actual practical use drive me crazy, no matter what field it is. Kevin, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's really simply what it is. It's not really complaint at all. So this is not a blame Smallrig. And maybe the flaw, it has nothing to do with them. But again, to keep the camera compact, you put it back here, down here, and you have to choose. Which way do I want to do this? Do I want to have it, oriented so I can pop open the HDMI door, or so I can pop in to the USB? So if you are a person that doesn't have a bunch of cameras and you're like, okay, I'm a photographer, but I also want to do live streaming and everything. So think about this. So you're coming home. If you put this cage on your camera, now you got a slight problem, because now when you come home to use the HDMI, in order to pop this side open, right, you have to slide it over this way enough to clear it. And once that's open, right, then you can't open up this side for your battery power. Everybody pay attention. Here's the problem. If you got the HDMI door open, right, to put an HDMI cord in there for your streaming, pay attention. This is what I'm going to show you. You got this open to set your camera up. Okay, let's take a look at this. Look, I'm sitting over here. Let's get up. Okay, are you live with me? Wake up, dude. Okay, let's see. Wake up. She's taking too long. Okay, so let's just say how I have this ZV-E10 up here. So I'm coming home and I want to plug up. I did a photo shoot, but I want to use my camera for live streaming, okay? Or you could break the cover off. Yes, but that wouldn't be the wisest thing. So does the full cage have this same flaw, or do all side doors open? No, the full cage is fine. So Kevin, the full cage basically eliminates that, because the cage is only sitting around the front. The cage sits over here. There's nothing on the back over here. So the cage just wraps around kind of like all the other ones, where there's, because you don't have to have that bracket on the side. And so you're good to go. So now here is the point. If you're at home and you go to set up, right? You think about this. You have your cam link. So you plug your HDMI in over here. So now I got this loose for a reason. So if this door is closed, you come back home and you have this cage on here. So now when you go to try to pop this open, you can't open this door to put your HDMI in. So think about the typical person. You open this up. Either you put dummy battery under here, or you can just plug the USB up right here, right? So if you plug the USB up here for juice, because you want to leave your battery in, your battery's going to charge, right? The battery's in here because you don't have to put a dummy battery in there because these 100s, it's a long battery, okay? So here's the thing, and follow me on this. You got the battery in here, you plug USB up, battery's charging, and you just want to go live for a second. If you open this door, plug in your USB, you now can't get to your HDMI. So now you got to take the Allen wrench and move this forward. Then you got to pop this door open here, right? And now in order to pop that door open, you're obstructing. Okay, no. Well, you have the USB-C. So this is not going to be obstructed. So you have that there. And now you can open this door and do USB-C. So, but the thing is, you still have to move it in order to open it. So you have it moved over there, but in order to close this door, you can't close this door. You can't close the door because now it's tight on this. You got your HDMI plugged in here. And when you go to take it out, in order to close this door, you have to take the Allen wrench. You have to do this stuff in order to get the other door closed. Do y'all see that? Is it me? Am I tripping? Or look at that. Here it is. You did a photo shoot, right? So depending on where you have this at, now you want to take and you want to open this. If it's back here, you can't open this door. So you have to take your Allen wrench out, open these, move this forward, and now you open this, right? You plug in your HDMI. Now, in order to open this door back here, or God forbid, put headphones in or something like that, you got to now take and you got to try to move this back. You can't open this because this door is open. So let's close this door, sliding back here. Now we can open this door. Now let's slide him over here and then open this door. That's too much work, people. Way too much work. And if you're using the multi over here, then you got to kind of do this, and it's a little too tight to get the cord plugged in here. The USB-C is open, but that's just too much work to use this and to use this. That's a lot of work. That's just my thought on it, okay? So, yeah, that's just kind of weird. Ladies and gentlemen, that was just my take on the Smallrig L bracket. Battery cage, not a problem. It's kind of sexy the way you got to open it. You have to move this slide over this way, and then you open the door and you can get the battery out. No problem. Does not obstruct anything on this side over here. As Diana Gladney showed me on the professional cameras, you got this open right here to get into your slot. So that's not obstructed. So I am going to get the full cage for this A7 IV. Just for the heck of it, to check it out, to see, how I like it. On the website, we can pretty much, see it's not that deep. It's not a big problem, but yeah, that's what it comes down to. All right. Wouldn't it make sense? I'm listening. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Too many steps. You're right. Wouldn't it make more sense to make the L on the grip side than to eliminate this issue? Well, Kevin, only problem with that is on the grip side. If you were to put that on the grip side, yeah. If the L was on the grip side, then when you go to hold the camera here, it's in your way. Like it's adding more over here. And because it's flat, it would actually be more comfortable. So the ergonomic, is that the word? Ergonomic thing that they do over here to make it fit comfortably, to fit around your hand right here. If you had a bracket over here, then it's kind of like, think about like grabbing on this side and you got this bracket, this metal bracket in here. That's not really going to work. Or if there was a bracket under the bottom here, you missed the hole here. So the whole thing of holding the camera is pretty much to be able to do this and have the comfortability of your fingers wrapped around here and laid flat against the camera over here. So you won't be able to put the L on this side other than if, now they do have, so this is the other thing. They have a ton of other pieces where you can have a handle out here and maybe on a handle you can throw a grip. But, right here, the L would have to sit on this side and they make it where you can extend this out so that your cords can hang from underneath the bottom. But again, even with the 24 millimeter distance piece that you can do in here, you still have this issue with the doors and the selecting which one. And as Elaine is saying, that's just too many moving parts to make it practical. So Michael, you're saying just keep buying more rigs and soon you'll have enough experience and parts to take all those cages together and rebuild your own. Absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Yeah, I don't know. Just out of the box. Yep. Too many steps. I agree. Out of the box. So that was fun. I thought that was great just to talk about that real quick. I am over a half an hour. I'm going to just end this and probably pop back on Facebook and shoot the breeze with somebody. But I'm excited. It's a keeper for me. I'll find out more uses with it. But now, yeah, let me take this, get you out of here. Okay, very easy to get out. And then I'm just going to select which one I'm going to use. Oh, my goodness. I'm just going to select one of these and say, hey, maybe I'll more than likely use the HDMI before I use the USB. So let me just center it in for opening the HDMI door. And I'm going to tighten it right there and call it a day. It's sad that I got to choose. Makes no sense whatsoever. See that? Look, I put it there and now you can't, you literally can't open the door down here to get these. So I have to take this Allen wrench out and do that. So I bought the full cage for the A7 IV and it works fine. Thank you, Michael. I believe that that's what I should have did. I'm happy with this. And the reason why I didn't get the full cage is because I have a full cage on the A7C to throw all my trinkets and gadgets and stuff around it and hang something on there and put the mat box on the front rails and all. But if you are a person that you were thinking about doing that with this, definitely just go for the full cage, call it a day. I just wanted to keep this sexy, low profile, and I just wanted something on the bottom and then something so I can turn them on the side. So it works good for that, but yeah, that flaw, I think I stand argument legit that there's a flaw there, okay? Such is life. Hey, why did the camera go out? How did you go out? I'm trying to figure out how the camera went out over here. You don't want to see anybody or? Okay, it's coming back on. Do you want to come back on? You don't want to come back on. Okay, I have no reason why the jib just went off. But nonetheless, okay, I think I knocked the cord out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. And that is my take on the A7C Smallrig cage. And I don't want that. I don't know why. Okay, so it's going to the comments. Let me go to the Google Chrome. Okay, boom. There it is, people. As you can see, the full frame, I think that Michael has, correct me if I'm wrong, you have this guy right here. Now notice, I like this, people, but notice what they're saying. They actually, you can use this same one. So they have this same, so look at this. Nothing in their description says that this is off. It works fine. They tell you about this, the hinge arm. They have this nice matching thing going on right here. They show you design with Arca quick release plate for quickly switching between horizontal and vertical. They tell you this, got it, but they're not showing you about those doors being open the way that they would. Now, notice this here. On their advertisement, look at how if you want to hook up the microphone to this guy, of course, you see how they eliminated Rode name out of there, but that microphone piece is up top here. So again, here's the point. If you were to put this plate on here, in order to open up this here, you'd have to pull this out in order to access both of these in the way that you would want to, access it. Okay. So let me make sure I didn't miss comment over here. Keith, has one of the best backgrounds on YouTube. Thanks, bro. Listen, I really appreciate it. I really just threw this together and it happened to work. Credit Dave. Shout outs to you. Have you seen the pinky grip for, the A7 IV made by Mickey? No, I actually haven't. I want to check that out. So let me go back to this. Wait. Oh, now the jib wants to work. And it's just flying back and forth. Let me put the camera back on there. Now it's flying back and forth. Let's put you back on here. Silly thing. I don't know what the heck. So let's go to this. Okay. The camera actually happened to reset itself for whatever reason. Here's Smallrig. So let's go to, wait a minute, not you. I want to check that out. So let's see. It is called the Pinky Grip. Okay, Pinky Grip A7 IV. Okay. All right. So, all right, I'm looking and I'm not seeing it's a grip extension. Okay, I'm so sorry, people. It's like a grip extension, but I'm not seeing the actual grip itself. This looks like it. It seems like it's one from B&H. I'm gonna look into them and see, different ones. But I'm not that big on, the intricacies of it. It's just really just pointing out what I point out on this one, and it's that if they told you the flaw, you would never buy it. That's the plan. That's a pain in the butt. You're absolutely right. I do think if they told you the flaw, you wouldn't buy it, but it is a true flaw. So yeah, if I'm a businessman, definitely I'm not going to tell you that. It's like, yo, just figure it out. And they gave you the solution. Look at it. They gave you the solution. They put the two things right on here and, so that you can slide this. But the fact that this is a door, listen, move over. The fact that just does not like the fact that you can't access everything without sliding this, that is the most amazingly genius, keep our mouths shut thing. But to do this is simple. I love it. Perfect. Do one here and do that, and we're good to go. All right. So Keith Phelps' problem is not that deep. I can take it, shoot this way, turn that way. I'm done. Good to go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining, brother. And if there's anything I can answer for you, let me know quickly in the column before I go if you have any lights, questions, or whatever. And one other thing I can say, if anybody has expert tips on what to do for people who bought a bunch of Philips Hue lights. Now, what I did was I put my cameras on PAL. So 4 of my cameras are on PAL. This one over here, and the jib camera. And that is so that, and I'll show you this, if I were to turn these lights on up here through this camera, which is the A51, you will see the flicker on the Philips Hue most likely. Now, these LED lights are professional, but the other ones that I have, they're not. So maybe here, if you notice the light up in the corner, you might see flicker on it. It's not guaranteed. Alexa, turn on Mac lights. So these should light up here. And yes, if you look at it closely, you will see these lights flickering because I have them on NTSC. People who are professional that know these different things. I think Diana Gladney, I'd love to go on with her and maybe talk about it. I'm not familiar with knowing how to change the shutter settings and stuff in the camera to stop the cycle from the 30 frames per second or the 60 or whatever. The thing is, respect you too, Mike. But I'm not a professional with that, but I did look up and find out that if you just change it to the European, PAL, you can kind of keep your Philips Hue lights. Simple. I say that to people who you have a fixed setup and you did do the investment on the Philips Hue lights. If you did the investment on the Philips Hue lights and you're getting all these flickers now, I just don't know what the settings are in the camera specifically are without changing it to something that most people say don't do it, okay? It works for me so that I can keep the colors that I have in here and I don't get that that flickering. So if you notice these lights over here, up here, they are flickering. So like the camera, these cameras up top, so the one up here, the one there, and the one right here, those lights, those cameras, I didn't touch them. And so because I didn't touch them, if you were to see my broadcast under normal circumstances on this shot here, those lights, that church light right there, will have like a wavy effect, and it'll be irritating. Now, most people never knew it, but it was irritating the hell out of me. And so what I looked up, I did my research and found out if you have the Philips Hue lights and, you know, you have that American, you know, mostly standard NTSC, I think it's called, y'all forgive me for terminology, it's going to be on a off cycle. It's just a weird thing with Philips Hue lights. So in that case, you'd have to buy professional color lights, RGBs, right? So kind of like these Godex that I have over here, these Godex lights over here. These are, let me change the color on them. These guys are, these are professional guys. So those lights are solid. They don't cycle to generate and make the color. That globe over there, it's cycling, but I have it in a globe, so it's basically not hitting the camera to show you. So I continue to hear Govee lights are pretty good. Do you have any experience with them? No, I don't. So credit Dave, I don't have experience with any other lights other than you know, professional, from the cheap ones to the up to aperture expensive lights. So a lot of Godox. So in here, I literally had everything was Godox lights. So these 4 lights, this lantern over here, this light, and this overhead light were Godox. Before that, my starting days, I had Neewer panel lights, and the Neewer panel lights were 1.1, and then I put soft boxes on it. I had an RGB over top to add color as far as a hair light. I don't have hair, but as far as a hair light, I used to have that up there. I would like to do that again, to put like a color RGB up here so that I can, it was a play that I did that really did an awesome highlight. So if you were to see these lights off, let me turn these guys off for a second. On this main desk, if I took these 2 lights here, I'll show you here, and I were to take and turn these guys off. So I'm going to turn this guy off, turn this guy off, right? And so here would be the look here. Okay, the camera's going to correct it, whatever. But the light behind me that we would call the hair light, I would actually throw color on it rather than just white, and it would give, like, you know, like right now with orange mic, I would have like an orangish light shining back here. And then when you add these other lights in here, there's like a soft orange hitting on the shoulder. So it was just a technique that I was using. But with this light that I have now, it's actually not. Did you go off again? Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. Oh, now I know what the heck is the problem. Let's go back to here and okay. Her battery, but the light over top of me, I would have had like a color to, you know, just to add or change something around there. But hope that answers the lighting question. Any other questions, people? If not, that's all I had to speak on and say. I'll do some more on why you really would like these Edelchrome pieces. These are just the Flex Tilt Pro is one of the most awesome pieces. It may seem like it's bulky, but the use of it for a stand, if you're a fan of the Z stands, for all types of movement, this has tension this way to mount and hold something as heavy as the teleprompter and whatnot, but you also have these tighteners on here to keep stuff tight. Okay, great stuff. I think I did a video on